simplifying square roots, especially we haven't worked on a lot, square roots when they're on the bottom of my fraction. So that's what we're going to start with right here. Let's look at this example. We've got 5 over the square root of 7. Okay? I need square root of 7 to not be on the bottom. That's not okay. We can't keep it there. So what we do to get rid of it is we multiply the bottom and the top by the square root of 7. So I get 5 square root 7 equals, what's 7 times 7? 49. And what's the square root of 49?
7.
5 square root 7 over 7. Do you guys see when I multiply a square root by itself, it's just the number inside the square root? Okay. That's going to be true every time, so we can skip this stuff and we have one less thing to do. Yes? Yeah?
We just do number 2 then.
Okay, let me do number 2.
Why would you put 11 back?
Okay. You cannot have a square root on the bottom. The only way to get rid of it is to multiply it by itself. Okay, so that we don't have it on the bottom of my fraction. You know how you couldn't have negative exponents on the bottom of a fraction? I couldn't do this. That wasn't okay, so I had to flip it. Okay? It's the same kind of thing. I can't, it's against math rules. Okay? So let's look at example 2. Do you see I have the square root 3x on the bottom? So I'm going to multiply the bottom and the top by
3x.
square root 3x. And I'm going to get square root, what's 2 times 3? 6x. And on the bottom I'm going to get just 3x, right? We can skip that step, right? Because 3 times 3 is 9. X times x is x squared. And 9x squared square rooted is just 3x. So that's what I'm trying to get you guys. When we multiply this by itself, it's just what's inside the square root.
So we just write without the square root.
Yeah, why don't you guys try 1, 2, and 3, right?
One. Absolutely. 2. I told you not to do that. Oh, okay.
Rock, Cameron, try 1, 2, 3. Remember, I'm checking this in on Monday that it's completely done, so you might as well do the problems along with us. I skipped the step because I'm trying to show you that if we do it by itself, it's just what's inside. So if we do it by itself, we can just do what's inside. So 3 times 3 is 9, right? And the square root of and x times x is x squared. So the square root of 9x squared is 3x, right? So I'm telling you, you can skip this step and just go straight to here. So if we had
Then there's the whole
square
time.
root of 5 on both sides, we can just skip and just go square root of 5 over 5. I know 5 times 5 is 25 and square root of 25 is 5. No? So just showing you short anyway, we don't have to put this in. Okay. Let's go ahead and do number 1. Shh. What did you guys get?
3.
Square root of 3 over 3.
Good. What about number 2?
4.
Square root of
4x
over.
x.
Okay. What did we get for number 3?
3 square root of 6x over 6x.
But now,
2 times those two? 3 and 6?
no, they're on the outside. They're not, one's inside a square root, one's on the outside, right? Okay. Now, can I reduce this? What's 3 over 6 reduced to? Shh. What's 3 over 6 reduced to? Yeah, so I can get the square root of 6x over 2x. Do you see that? 3, 6 over there?
Will you mark this down?
Yes. Yes.
So how do you do these?
Hold on, we'll catch up. Relax.
Wait,
Put your glasses
but
back.
you didn't put the 3 there.
I can tell.
Okay. 3 divided by 6 is 1/2, right? 1/2. No, we're lost.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do it again? Okay, let me do the whole thing. So we got 3 over 6 square root of 6x. So I multiply the top and bottom by 6 square root of 6x. So I get 3 square root 6x over 6x. 6 times 6 is 36. Square root of 36 is 6. X times x is x squared. Square root of x squared is x. But now I have 3 over 6. That reduces to 1 over 2. Good? We'll do
Yeah.
more.
Wait, do you need the one?
I just did that because some people were asking questions. Okay. This stuff should be reviewed. Okay, so I'm going to skip that, and that can be your homework. Let's go to, let's do 8 together.
So Mondays actually be like a full blown like quiz.
Yeah.
For like.
Oh, no, it's still short. It's like 8 questions. Still half a page. It's real quick. 4 of them are just going to be simplified words. Okay, number 8. First thing I'm going to do is what?
Subtract 2.
Subtract 2. Good. So I get 5w squared equals 2. What am I going to do next?
Divide by
5
five.
by whatever number.
Divide by 5.
Oh.
So w squared equals 2/5. Now what do? I got a squared, so I square root. Okay, now remember, it looks like this. W equals the square root of 2 over the square root of 5. Can I have a square root of 5 on the bottom? No, so I'm going to multiply, remember this is plus or minus. I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by the square root of 5, and I get W equals plus or minus 5 times 2 is square root 10 over 5.
How come you would square root the top and not the bottom?
Because you can have a square root on the top of a fraction, just not on the bottom of a
But
fraction.
it says you're multiplying 2 square roots. Why would you take out the bottom but not the top?
I'm confused. So, hold on. Let me make it bigger. So I went square root 2 over square root 5, and I did square root 5 over square root 5. Are you asking why I'm not multiplying by 2?
No, but just why can you take the square root off the bottom and not the top?
Because it's just a rule of mathematics. Like, you can't have a negative exponent on the bottom. You would have to switch this to x squared. You're not allowed, or if you have a negative exponent, you'd have to make it 1 over x to the third. It's just a rules of math. There is an explanation, but it's a little longer than you want to have. Yes.
So if you put it in the calculator, like how you times it, you put in square root times.
Okay. Let's try some stuff with Pythagorean theorem. We started it the other day, but there's a lot more here.
What about number 9?
What about number 9?
How do you do that?
Divide by 3, subtract 5, take the square root.
Did you do that yesterday?
No. Okay.
Well, it's like on the outside, so.
All right. So let's do it then. Okay. How do I get x by itself here?
Oh, you
Divide
distribute
by-
it.
No, you don't need to distribute. You can just go ahead. It's being timed, so I can just divide by 3. You don't want to. It's gonna be harder. This is gonna be quicker. You can is the answer. This is just the quickest way. Yeah, remember. 42 divided by 3 is
12.
14. Equals x squared plus 5. Now what do I do?
Minus 5.
Okay. So 9 equals x squared. So now what do I do?
X equals
X equals plus or minus 3.
Or you could just put 3 and negative
You can.
It's just so much
That's
easier.
fine. Trying to get you to write the least. So, Max, if we were going to do this problem like you wanted to do, we get 42 equals 3x squared plus 15. You subtract 15 from both sides, and then you divide by 3. You still get the same answer. It's fine. Okay? All right. Let's do a Pythagorean theorem one. We're just going to do 10, 11, or 12. Which one do you want to do? 10, 11, or 12?
11.
Okay.
11.
Let's do 11. Okay, so we're going to go 1 squared plus 3 squared equals c squared, because we remember a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? That's Pythagorean theorem. C is always across from the 90 degrees. So we get 1 plus 9 equals c squared, so we get 10 equals c
Wait, hold
squared.
Wait, where'd you
What?
go down? Oh, 3 squared.
Over at 11.
Sorry. Do I have a question though, other than I'm just going too fast and you can keep up? Do you have a question about any of those steps? Yeah.
Actually, could you have us do the other two? It's
Yeah, and you want me to check your answers in a second? Yes, I can totally do that. So what is my last step here before I'm done?
Divide by C.
square root.
Oh,
Square roots. So c equals plus or minus the square root of 10. Okay, why don't you guys try 10 and 12 right now, and then I'll check.
Why would you square root of that? What's the reason?
If something's squared, the only way to undo it is square root. You know, like if you have 2x equals 10, you have to divide both sides by 2, right? So, but if we have x squared equals 9, the only way to get x by itself is to square root it. It's like the undo button.
This has been the weirdest day for me ever.
Try 10 and 12.
Try what?
No, what two numbers go into 20 where one is a perfect square?
Try what?
I was answering so.
What problem?
10 and 12.
I've done the square root of 20 so many times I don't actually have to do it. I just can write the answer.
Did you see everything?
Yeah, I think. And my vision's getting better, so everything's really bright.
It only takes like
Yeah.
So this is just a question about, but it's like on the homework, is there gonna be any like how we did 8?
Yeah.
Because I'm doing it right now. Like I was looking at it and I was like, that doesn't work. So I think it's now. And it was like w squared equals square root of 2 over 5, and then it became w equals the square root of 2 over the square root of 5. Is it just square rooting each number on top of the and bottom? Okay. I just didn't hear that part of it, so I'm
Just multiply the square root of 5.
What?
We need your help.
Okay, let me go over it then. Let's go over it.
know how to make it like if it's not a perfect square.
Well, that's what I'm going to do then, because that's why 10 is hard. So let's do 10. Okay, how did you guys set this up? You did what?
A squared plus b squared.
2 squared plus 4 squared equals
2 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared. And what do we get?
4 plus 16.
Okay, then what?
20 equals c squared.
Then what'd you do?
Square root it.
Okay, this is what we've been practicing. What two numbers multiply give you 20, but where one's a perfect square? 4 and 5. So we're going to go the square root of 4 times 5 equals c. And what's the square root of 4?
2.
So plus or minus 2 square root 5 equals c. Don't forget the plus or minus.
Can it be like written like c equals instead?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't care. Okay, for 12, you should get, it's okay. For 12, we should get, let's see, 5 squared plus 3 squared equals c squared. So you should get 25 plus 9 equals c squared. 25 plus 9 is? 34 equals c squared, and then you're going to do? And so c equals plus or minus the square root of 34 because nothing goes into 34. Okay, I'm going to do one of the word problems then. Plus or minus 2 square root.
So when we have 4.
Maybe I should do one more. 13 through 17. Which one do you want me to do?
13. 13.
13.
I'm working on that one. Does that make sense?
Yes.
We'll
fast.
just do a squared.
Try not to look down.
Okay. So, yeah, for this one, for 13, all you're going to do is a squared plus 5 squared equals 9 squared. That's the big difference. So you get a squared plus 25 equals 81. So far, so good? Rocco and Cameron, you guys paying attention? Yes, Miss Murphy? Of course, Miss Murphy. Subtract 25 from both sides. And I get a squared equals 56. Now I'm going to square root it. What two numbers multiply to give you 56 where one's a perfect square? 8 times 8 is 64.
So
Four.
4 and 14.
Oh, and then there was like a different one.
I don't-
for sec.
I
It was,
don't
like,
know that.
Is it?
Well, I didn't know either. When I did this, I
don't know
did.
how to figure that out in the calculator.
Well, I take.
We know all the perfect squares.
So all the perfect squares are written on the board.
Yeah,
so I
how
take
does
a picture of
help
that.
you?
So this is what I do. Well, I'm going to show you. Calm down.
How's that gonna help us during a test?
It's totally going to help you during a test.
Well, is it
Because-
gonna, are we gonna have to remember it?
Because if you just divide by the biggest square, you
So I've got 56, right? Wait. Quiet. Shh. You guys panic and then you all get really loud. Okay. So 56. The perfect square that's less than 56, the first one is 49. 49 does not go in there evenly. So then I do 56 divided by 36. It doesn't go in there evenly. 56 divided by 25 doesn't go in there evenly. 56 divided by 16 doesn't go in there evenly. 56 divided by 9 doesn't go in there evenly. 56 divided by 4 does. So it's 4 and 14. That's how I figured it out, Max. Okay? So 4 and 14, so I get a equals plus or minus 2 square root 14. And that's it. So a quicker way to do it, Max, you see how it's like 56? Well, I look at the next one down is 49. Okay, so I'm like 49 is not going to go into 56 evenly, right? So then I'm like, okay, is it 36? That could be. 25 is not because it doesn't end with a 0 or a 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, I kind of logically do it so I don't have to do every single one. Okay, let's turn to the word problems. Let's do one or two of those. Let's just start with the first one. Your cousin has come over to repair your roof. He brought his 15-foot ladder. The roof is 12 feet tall. To reach the roof exactly, how far away from the building should he place the base of the ladder? Okay,
The situation.
so we want to reach our roof, which is 14 feet tall. 12 feet tall, excuse me. The ladder is 15. I want to find x. Do we see how it makes a Pythagorean theorem or right triangle?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 12 squared plus x squared equals 15 squared. So I get what?
So if it doesn't tell you what C is C always going to be on top?
144 plus x squared equals.
No, think about it. Shh. So C is always going to be the one that's slanted.
Yes.
All right? We can't put a ladder straight up and down. It's really hard to climb. So the ladder is going to be the slanted part.
Oh, that's why that one's.
Okay? 12 squared is 144 plus x squared equals 225. Subtract 144 from each side. So x squared equals 81. Then we're going to square root both sides. Does it make sense for me to have a negative answer? So you can just put the positive answer. Questions
What-
about that?
What if on the quiz we accidentally put plus minus?
I wouldn't mark you twice.
Oh, okay. So is it a safe bet to just put plus minus on everything?
Yeah. Okay, let's look at your other piece of homework. Remember, you just have to do the evens of those.
Yeah. Are we just doing the evens on
We're just doing the evens, so look through them. Is there any of those that you want me to do?
14.
What? Where? Minus 144. Sorry, that's a minus sign. So x squared equals 81, and you can solve it from there. Okay, so number 14. All right, so I'm going to divide both sides by 16. So n squared equals 49 over 16. And now what do I do?
Square.
Square root So I would square root the top and the bottom. So n equals plus or minus the square root of 49 is,
7.
the square root of 16 is. Done.
Oh.
Wait.
Hold on.
I thought we would square root of the whole thing. And
We'll
just
do
like
them
do
each
49
separately.
over.
And don't divide first if they're
Yeah.
perfect squares. That's just gonna mess you up. Okay. Max has asked for number 5.
We're not doing that.
So you have to do all of these for your homework. So divide both sides by 7.
Just those?
X squared equals 100 over 7. Now I'm going to
Square.
square root the top and the bottom. So x equals 10 over the square root of 7. Can I have a square root of 7 on the bottom?
No.
So I'm going to multiply what?
Square root of 7.
On the top and the bottom. So I get 10 square root 7 over 7. Make sure it's plus and minus. Okay, looking through your homework. Remember, you've got the evens of the solving quadratic equations with square roots and the rest of your packet. Is there any others that you want me to do?
Just a, how'd you get the 100 to a 10?
Square root of 100 is 10.
Oh, okay.
Any others 16 through 28 on the back or any of these? You feeling okay about them? All right. I will let you work for the rest of the hour.
Substitute.